Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
Welcome to a special episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, and this is part of my promoting 501c3s, and today we're going to talk about Hunt of a Lifetime with Craig, Ellenbolt, and Blaine Bergin. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Well, let's start right off and give us, the listeners, some insight about what Hunt of a Lifetime means to you guys.
Go ahead, Craig. You got a better story first.
Yeah, of course. So I was introduced to Hunt of a Lifetime by a friend that I knew, and he had called me when he found out my son was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. He told me that he wanted to take him on a hunt, and I knew right away Caden would love to do that. He's always talked about hunting with his dad, and it's been difficult because it was tough for him to walk at the time. He was 9 years old. I was extremely concerned about his age and just being responsible enough and able to really to grasp what he's doing, and whatnot. But I knew it was a good time because he was still able to walk. So we applied, and Caden was given a hunt in Idaho in 2014 for elk, kind of one of those species that he's always dreamed about. Watched me bag a couple of bulls and just something he really wanted to do. So we were able to go on that hunt. He was able to be, it was an extremely successful hunt. And that's what got me started in Hunt of a Lifetime is just the drive to, I guess, give back for what they did for my son. And of course, our whole family was there. So for everybody. And it was an organization that I knew I had to be a part of. Go ahead, Blaine.
Yeah. And for me, I've big game hunted all around the West Coast, got pretty much every animal there is, big ones, most people every year keep going and going for big ones. And I got my trophies on the wall, and I started looking to other resources and trying to find an organization that fit what I'd like to do, the passion of hunting plus helping out where I could. And I found a few different organizations, but they just didn't have the right mindset and mission statement, that I wanted to be a part of. Everything was political nightmare or people doing it for the wrong reasons. So I kept trying to get in with Hunt of a Lifetime. And then, after 3 or 4 years of trying to become a volunteer, I finally was able to get in with the Idaho group. And that's kind of where I found the place about 6.5 years ago and started volunteer here in Idaho. And now I'm the ambassador of Utah and Alaska and a committee member in Idaho. And Craig's the ambassador of Washington and member out here in Idaho as well.
Why don't you share a couple of the hunts that you've seen and the impact it's had on the parents as well as the child?
Well, I can speak for my situation because it not only is a child that was part of Hunt of a Lifetime, but it was my own child, and the difference that it made to be part of that organization and also a parent at the same time, and see that the look in their eyes and the the emotion that everybody gets throughout the whole hunt basically comes down to one point when they harvest and when they actually, just let go and they say a prayer over the animal or whatever they choose to do. There isn't a dry eye in the bunch, and it's absolutely a moving experience all the way around. And there's a lot of organizations out there that do amazing things for kids, and that, that tugs on our heartstrings in itself. But, the fact that these kids, some of them may never get an opportunity to do another hunt, it makes us all extremely emotional, and they get to forget about whatever it is ailing them. And that's really the emotion and the power of these hunts is all in that wrapped up in one.
Most of the kids that we have taken out, so all the hunts that Craig and I have done together have been in Idaho for elk. That's how I met Craig. I was one of the volunteers that took his son and him and his wife on their hunt in 2014. And just after, spending a week together, as we all know, in the woods or wherever you may be hunting, you get a special bond. But, with Hunt of a Lifetime, it brought us way closer together, and after Craig seeing what we did for him and his family, he decided to join our organization and make it a better organization all around. But, some of the hunts that we've shared together, I mean, I've been on hunts for myself that I thought it was the best hunt in the world, shooting a moose with my bow, or being in Alaska shooting a moose or a big elk or deer or whatever. But they just to be around the kids, whether they harvest or not, knock on wood, we've been 100% successful. But I don't know how to explain it. I mean, we've had a kid a couple years ago from back east that could hardly walk, 10, 15 yards. He had a tumor in his brain, and, he got dizzy or out of breath. And for whatever it means, we go on a hunt like this and get done. He harvests, have a week that was just amazing. He goes home, and, you're always thinking in your back of your mind, what's going on. So, we keep in touch with all the kids and the families that we go hunting with, or, whatever their dream wish is, fishing, whatever. And 2 months later, he sends a text message that he's out rollerblading, which was, never thought possible.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. His tumor shrank, and they don't know why. He didn't have any more treatments. It was just, it may have been something that he needed in his life at that time to kind of switch around. So, I mean,
that gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. When you hear that a month later, that just drives you to the next year to get more involved and do more good things for these kids with life-threatening illnesses. And we get to spend some special times. Last year, we had a kid from North Carolina. His dad was, I think, from Ohio, and we had them in town, and we got to spend his 16th birthday with him, which he didn't know. We kind of, did a surprise birthday party for him up in the top of the mountain. We never met the kid. We went to the store, bought decorations, cake. We bought him a My Little Pony unicorn cake, and figured, well, he better have a good sense of humor. The funny thing is we, at his birthday party up there, after he shoots his bull opening morning, we have this big, huge birthday party. We bring out the unicorn cake, and his dad just, starts crying and laughing, and we're trying to figure out, what's going on. And he's like, "You never met my son, yet you get him this cake." And he pulls out a birthday card, and it was the exact same My Little Pony unicorn birthday card that he bought previously, and we never even talked about it. So it's kind of crazy. It all comes together, and
Isn't that crazy?
It's not just about the hunts. It's the week. I don't think we've had a hunt yet that the parents haven't said that was the first time in years that their child has not thought about their illness or going to a doctor's appointment or something like that. It's where they get to be considered normal, I guess, because they don't have all this going on, and they don't have to go to different appointments, none of that stuff. They just get to be a kid and go hunting, and no one looks at them any differently than they normally should be.
Now, what ages are these kids?
These kids can range anywhere from, there's no bottom number. We do our best as an organization nationwide, send them all over the world, but we do our best to fit what would be best for their abilities, needs, and age. And the oldest we can do with our 501c3 is 21, but it's so young adults. But my son was 9 years old when he got his bull elk in Idaho. So I mean, we accommodate. A lot of times these kids have ailments that make it to where they can't walk. Like Blaine was saying, my son, for example, we carried him on my back and on Blaine's back and on, so we are used to packing heavy weight out of the mountains. So we're doing that with our kids. As safe as we can be, we're going up mountains with kids and chasing elk and deer and whatever, it takes to make it the best experience for them.
Blaine, when you think about the kids you've seen, how many hunts have you been on?
Let's see. Probably about 7 now that I've been a part of, for the full week. I've gone out to a few other ones that are going on and go out for a day or something to help out. They may need to cook for a day or help scouting, certain things like that. But 7 where we've had our own camp where, it's just set up. The volunteers are out there for 5, 6, 7 days, whatever time get off and get out here. That's how many now. I mean, and Hunt of a Lifetime as an organization nationwide does, I would say, I don't know off the top of the head, top of my head, but I would say probably close to, between 60 and 100 a year, I would think at least. Because I know we do 4 to 5 in Idaho. Craig does one in Washington. We got one in Utah this year. Arizona does about 18 a year. So it just depends on, what the kid's wish is, I guess, for that year. And, if they want to go hunt moose, then I know we've sent a bunch of kids to Newfoundland hunting moose, New Zealand hunting red stag. They want to go fishing. They usually go out of Florida. So it just depends on what their wish is that we make it happen.
Now, what about funding? Because hunting isn't cheap, as we all know. Tags and a bow, a rifle, or whatever, plus travel. How does that get funded?
It's all through private donations and fundraising. So everyone's a volunteer in the organization. No money goes to anybody. So all the fundraising that we do here locally, it all goes to national, and that gets dispersed wherever it needs to be. We may raise not enough to take the kids we do in Idaho. We may raise 10 times more. But good thing is it all goes to one place, so it doesn't matter. Kid wants to go to Idaho, if they want to go to Maine, if they want to go to Florida. Everyone fundraises for the same goal, and that's to take kids on their dream hunt. And we do a lot of raffles. Full Draw Film Festival has been huge for us. We kind of partner up with them, and we do the Northwest Mountain Challenge back here in the West Coast and go to all the archery shoots and archery challenges. And so that's kind of big. We get a lot of donations, maybe gear and stuff like that to use as raffle prizes. That helps generate a lot of funds.
Kids who come, do they have to be terminally ill or just be disabled, or how does that work?
They have to have a life-threatening illness. So most of the kids we take have some form of cancer, leukemia. We've taken kids with muscular dystrophy, type 1 childhood diabetes, anything that fits in that classification. Those are what our 501c3 allows us to take.
Next steps, listeners, if some of the listeners say, gee, I want to get involved, how do they do that?
The easiest way is to go to huntofalifetime.org, and there's leave on the bottom left, there's a thing for form. Click on the forms tab, and you go down, there's a volunteer form. You fill out, send it in, whatever state you're in. I believe we're in 43 states at this time that we have somebody there looking for extra volunteers. We also have one for outfitters, or, if there's somebody that wants to donate, say they have, a hunt that they purchased or something, they want to donate it. Necessarily, we may not have a kid that gets to use it that year. It just kind of depends on what they want to do. And then there's also the youth referral program. If you have a child or know a child that, meets this criteria, you can fill that out, send it to headquarters, and gives you a step-by-step everything you need to do. And then once headquarters gets it and Tina takes a look at it, then she reaches out to you and gets you on the list.
Now, have you gone to the Elk Foundation and said, hey, at your annual rendezvous, would you, sponsor a hunt, have just an auction that somebody donates and then the kids go on? Have you guys ever done that?
It sometimes gets political on that, especially with that organization. We haven't been able to really connect with them and I guess get into the right person. This is an extremely easy thing to sell. We don't have to sell it. It sells itself. It's kind of like, anything else where it's people know that this is a extremely important mission. And so normally it's just getting in touch with the right person. Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation has donated a little bit in the past. I was talking to Tina, the founder and CEO, she started this. Her son actually went on a hunt. She's like, why not? Why can't we do this? I was talking to her the other day, and it sounds like they donated around $9,000 this year for the first time ever. Some of the local chapters are supportive and have, but as a national, we haven't had a lot of success with Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. But I mean, we do get some chapters of SCI that donate. I went up to Spokane, Washington, and they were doing a paddle raise or an auction, so to speak. And we showed a video of one of our hunts, and it moved. So, I mean, you could just see that there wasn't many dry eyes in the room. And It just made them all want to be a part of it and donate. We raised in that few minutes, 15,000 and change just from people saying, I want to donate. So it's a very easy organization to sell to corporations, whatever. We have to get to the right people to make that possible. And some of these are not easy to get, but once we get there, I think it's a forever partnership. We've got Vortex that's donated for quite a while. We got Savage Rifles that donates rifles to our kiddos. So each kid that goes on a hunt gets a rifle. I mean, so it's, we do have these great partnerships out there, and Nozzle Bullets. I mean, it just goes on and on, right? What we as volunteers work on and build this organization is making those contacts. It just takes one person to hear what we're doing here or to visit our booth at any one of these shows that we do as volunteers to find out what we do and say, we need to be a part of this. And the same thing I did when they took my boy on the hunt. You get so moved by what we do that you have to be a part of it. And corporations are the same way. I know we can do so much better than we're doing, but we're still working on it. This organization's been around for quite a few years, a lot of years. And it's built slowly every year. And I think the more we get out there, the more we get our name, the more we can find kids that need hunts. That's the most important thing. And funding them is our drive.
What about Len Tony at Backcountry Hunters and Anglers? Have you ever reached out to him in Missoula? He's the president and CEO.
We worked with them a few years ago back at the Northwest Mountain Challenge when we did the 3 archery shoots. They do one in Idaho, one in Oregon, one in Washington, and we kind of partnered up with them a little bit. They were kind of doing the same thing we were doing at the same shows. They were fundraising, getting their name out. So, I mean, they are a good resource for us because they're all in this business for making sure everyone gets to hunt and everything, and they have the same passion. And it's just one of those things that you reach out, everyone usually at the beginning's like, this is great, we want to be involved, blah, blah, blah. And then it always, not always, but most of the time, it kind of just fizzles out. And you got to have people that see the same, vision as us, or someone that sees a video or goes on an actual hunt with one of these kids and just sees how life-changing it is for them. Once somebody sees that, it's all over. I mean, they're in 100% every year. Some guys that'll be like, volunteers or a corporation that's like, oh, I'll give you some money every year. And then they see the video and afterwards, and they're like, oh my gosh, my money, went towards that. And we're like, yeah. And then so every year they just, they volunteer every year. And we're not sure how every different state works. We only know from our experience here in Idaho, Washington, Utah, and Alaska. But the fundraising is a huge component for us because these kids' hunts may range from, I'm sure the cheapest one we've ever had is probably $5,000 up to $15,000. Because you figure when a kid, like here in Idaho, we get the tags given to us. Other states, they have to buy the tags. So by the time you buy a tag, a hunting license, plane tickets for a kid and a guardian, a gift certificate to Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops, like Craig said, Savage donates a rifle and usually get a scope donated. And, Vortex out here is pretty good to us. They give the kids binos, stuff like that. But when you start adding all this stuff up, hotels, rental cars, it's a good chunk of change, as anyone knows that's ever had to travel anywhere else to hunt. I mean, you can rack up a lot of money real quick. So the more we can raise and the less we have to spend per child, like when they come out here, our Cabela's is amazing. They just give us a free reins of the store. Kids go shopping. We have Linton Outdoors that donates tons of stuff. So all that little bit that every small or large organization donates comes down to the bottom wire. It cuts off what we would be spending normally on a child. And that little bit, whether it's $100 or it's $1,500, goes towards another kid, because the last thing you want to do is have a kid that says, hey, I want to go hunt whitetail in Kansas. And we say, well, we're out of funds. We can't do it this year. Can you wait till next year? I mean, illnesses and cancer and stuff, they don't wait. You're out there time. So that's why we want to make sure we have enough funding and volunteers to take any kid that wants to go or needs to go on a hunt. I mean, ideally, we wouldn't want to take any kids, and no kids are sick, but that's just not the way the world works. So that's why we're out just beating the brush, trying to fundraise, get volunteers, and, grow the organization.
Again, if somebody's interested that's listening to this, just supporting you guys, how would they do that?
They can go to our website at huntofalifetime.org. We have donation opportunity forms on there. We have applications for hunters. So if anybody knows a hunter that has a life-threatening illness, and don't worry about what the illness is, send it in, and we'll do our job to figure out if it falls under, our 501c3. Tina does well at going through and making sure that these things fit, and let them know what your number one dream is. If it's for you or your child, 1, 2, 3, and we do best to make sure that we fulfill, the child's dream, not just give them a random hunt somewhere, and unless they just want to go hunting, but very much one of those things where we want to make it their dream hunt and what they've wanted to do the most. So
again, that's huntofalifetime.org. Is that correct?
Yes.
Share with us about a young lady that's hunted with you guys.
Which one was that?
I don't know. Do you have you had any young ladies out there where you guys are?
Yeah, we weren't part of the camp, but there was a girl that came out here, would have been 3 years ago, I believe. Her name was Caitlin, and she went elk hunting, and she was fortunate enough to harvest a good bull. And since that time, so she came out here, hunted in Idaho, went home, decided she liked it so much, she enrolled at Boise State University, came out here, is going to school, and she's in the honors program, and her brother moved out here now, and her parents are looking at it, but they come out here quite a bit to, hang out in Idaho. So it's kind of one of those things that, it's pretty neat. And she's a great asset to the organization. She shows up to all the fundraisers. We got her video of her hunts, and, she's been able to, always raised, from my understanding, in the hunting and fishing community with her dad and her brother, but never really had the opportunity. And now she's full in it. She loves hunting, loves fishing, and, she's living in Idaho now, getting to enjoy all those things.
And she's healthy. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. She is now.
She's had a few relapses over time, but yeah, she's in remission now.
Yeah, without getting into the specifics of her illness.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty specific when you talk remission, but yeah, a lot of our kiddos do have cancers of all types. So many of them we still get to connect with, and we do lose some, and that's the hard part about this. Like anything we do, you become a family. We get these kiddos to come out, and we hunt with them, and we follow them, and we see them graduate, and we see these. I mean, it's so moving, and occasionally you'll lose one, and that really tests. It's not easy to do this. You're connecting with so many sick kids, and then you lose some, and it's not easy. I don't know how to really describe it, but it makes you feel like you can't do it anymore, but you have to. So yeah, that's, I guess, my boy is still healthy. He's got a sick heart, but he's healthy and in a chair now, and we'll have him for many years. But some of these kiddos don't even get to see their mount come back from the taxidermist.
The bonds that you form and the relationships are life-lasting. I mean, like we said earlier, we still talk to almost all the kids that we've taken. There's maybe one or two that we don't talk to on a couple-month basis or yearly basis. I mean, I met Craig out of it. We talk probably at least every 3 days or something. My secretary works that we hired. That's how I met her. We took her son on a hunt, a deer hunt and cow elk hunt. And that's kind of, once you meet somebody on this, you got, you don't have the whole 2-3 years prior, whatever it took to get to that moment. But that 1 week is life-changing for everyone involved. And, that's kind of reason that, we try spreading it, is if anyone is looking for some way to help donate, I know there's a lot of people that do Ducks Unlimited, whatever it may be, and they're not happy with it. I mean, Hunt of a Lifetime is a great organization, especially when you do the fundraising, you see the money you raise, and then you get to see at the end what all that fundraising does, whether you raised enough for the hunt or not, or you raise 10 times as much, you go on one hunt or you see one video and all of a sudden, then it all makes perfect sense why you get involved.
Can you share about the story you have posted on your website about Matthew and his moose?
So the only thing I know is just from reading the story. Pretty much Tina's son wanted to go hunting, reached out to another organization, which everyone knows, but they do not fulfill hunting, fishing, or, outdoors dreams. So all he wanted to do is hunt a moose. They offered him, Disneyland trip, that sort of thing. And so she decided to set up her own organization. And that's kind of where Hunt of a Lifetime came from, is after that point, said, you know what, I'm going to start up my own organization just to fulfill this hole that was there for children. And that's how she started it up. And since then, it's just grown like crazy. And a lot of people have a misconception when they look into Hunt of a Lifetime. They think, oh, I can either go to Disneyland or I can go on a hunt. Well, that is not true. You can do both. If somebody else wants to take you to Disneyland or Seven Flags or something, Hunt of a Lifetime is completely separate. If a kid qualifies, the kid will get to go hunting.
Now, you said, I think at the beginning, you do about 100 hunts a year throughout the country. Is that pretty close?
Yeah, I would guesstimate that between 60 and 100. It depends each year how many kids we have sign up and everything. But I know what we do here and, like what Arizona does. I think Arizona did 18 last year. Colorado probably does 8 to 14 a year. So, when you start adding that all up, there's a lot back east. We do a lot of fishing trips. So I would say that's a pretty accurate number.
So we're talking someplace north of $500,000 probably.
Yeah, at least a year to keep it going, just to take kids on their dream hunts.
Yeah, and we're not talking any administration because based on what you said, nobody takes a dime out of the organization.
Nope.
The only cost we have other than going on the hunts is going to shows and trying to spread the word and doing what we can. We do have some flights and stuff to get to places that occasionally cost, but almost every dime goes to these hunts, and none goes to any of our pockets. These are all good-hearted individuals that have completely moved me as a father of a hunter to know that these people are just doing it out of the goodness of their heart and have been moved in some way or another with this organization. Mine's clear. Mine's obvious. Blaine's was when he looked into it, was just out of the goodness of his heart and wanting to help. So I always say that I like to be a part of when the family shows up. I like to be their in between, saying, my boy did this. I can help you with anything. What's your questions? So I have a very unique experience, and it helps a lot to the families to have that experience too. But every one of these volunteers, for the most part, I don't know how many actually had a hunter. I know it's very few. But once I went on that hunt, there was another boy that was in camp with Caden that was hunting. He was struggling to get a bull. And the minute my son got his bull and we got it out of there, we were working hard. And I was helping them to get the other boy his animal. And we succeeded at essentially one of the last nights we were there. So it was, that point forward, I was part of this. So these volunteers are a godsend. They're amazing. And I'm doing it. I have a different drive and what moved me. But every one of these guys do it because they have a great heart. Guys and gals. I'm sorry. I'm using guys as a general term. We do have a lot of women that are part of this organization.
So one more time, how does somebody, if they're interested in donating, volunteering, or they have a son or daughter that wants to go on a hunt?
The best way is to go to our website, huntofalifetime.org, and all the information is there. There's a forms tab. Click on that, and there's one for volunteers, outfitters, any kind of donations, whether you want to donate cash, credit card, whatever. And then there's the form on there for youth referral. Fill that out, send it in if they have a child that meets the criteria. And that is the best way to do it, to tell you the truth, is to go to the website, huntofalifetime.org.
Yep. So we are a 501c3, like you said. So we're fully taxed. You can use that towards your taxes. I don't even remember the the word you call it, but yeah. So it's all write off donation wise.
So if you're an outfitter listening to this, if you're a manufacturer listening to this, if you have a product in the outdoor industry listening to this, if you're mom or dad with a child under the age of 21 with a life-threatening illness, and if you want to volunteer, if you just want to raise your hand and say, I've done a lot of things in a lot of conservation groups, I'm going to pivot here and I'm going to do something that when we're sitting around the campfire at the end of a successful hunt, because I have a sense that every hunt is a successful hunt, even if they don't harvest, because of just the people they're with and everybody's pouring into that young person and giving them an opportunity to do something that otherwise they wouldn't be able to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been very lucky in the West Coast over here, like Blaine said, to be extremely successful in the harvest side of it. But before we ever put an animal on the ground, it's a successful hunt. And every one of these kiddos and the family that's with them, you can see the success in their eyes before there's ever an animal. You know, that's the bonus. That's part of the dream, but the ability for them to show up and see what the organization does and just let go of anything that's weighing on their shoulders. These kids carry more than we can ever imagine every day. So, yeah, that's it. That's what we do.
Blaine, final thoughts?
Just as we tried growing this organization and we just want to spread the word about what we do. I mean, we have plenty of people that volunteer and everyone wants to go on the hunt. That's the icing on the cake. But what a lot of people don't understand is the whole backstory to how we get to that hunt. So that's kind of what we're looking for. I mean, we could find 500 people to go on a hunt, just the snap of the fingers, but we just need volunteers who their mind and heart is in the right place to kind of join and help out, fundraising, all that sort of thing, or any sponsors or partners that want to donate, help out in any way they can. I mean, anything helps. And then we're also just trying to spread the word because not a lot of people know about the organization. So if they have a kiddo that wants to go hunting and enjoys the outdoors, or we've taken kids that have never shot a rifle before and that's their first time hunting. And we take them out on Hunt of a Lifetime, go hunting. And then, like in most kids, once they go one time, they're hooked. So that's just kind of trying to get the word out any way possible. It's not like we're looking for one thing. We're looking for everything as a whole.
So listeners, huntofaLifetime.org, think about it when you're listening to this, wherever you are, think about it and just go, I need to do this. And let that be your guide. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing about Hunt of a Lifetime today. I look forward to talking with more of your volunteers and the people that make it work throughout this year. So be well and keep taking care of those kiddos.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Bruce.
Yes, sir.
I sent you a video of one of our videos of the donation request type thing that we show at a lot of our shows. And it's got a boy on it that hunted in Idaho. I mean, a lot of stuff that we have to send you is stuff that we've done in the Northwest, but we do it all over the country, obviously. But getting back to it, I sent you that video. Use it as you wish. It's been edited through Full Drop Film Tour was the guys that utilized it, but it's very moving. It's an emotional video. That boy is currently been sent home on hospice terminal, and he doesn't have a whole lot of time left. This has been 2 years. He's been battling this brain cancer. But share as you will, if you can show it wherever. I mean, that's what we do, and it's in such a short amount of time, but it explains exactly what Hunt of a Lifetime does.
And with that, folks, that video will be posted when the show is posted. So take a look at that and just think about where you want to spend your time, your money, how you want to invest your time and money. And there's no better investment than kids.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.